Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. This is my guy, I believe he's probably in his early 30s, and he shares his story, how he thought he did have a pretty good relationship with his fiancée until his kid was born and she joined a book club. What kind of book club? An feminist book club. And it wasn't long before she was suddenly talking about the patriarchy and all that type of things there, and how, victims and men are the bad guys and blah, blah, blah. And things went bad real quick. And ultimately, the guy does handle things right, but the problem is now it ends on a note where just things are definitely some problems in his life, and he definitely needs my help and your help and all that. Also, you're going to see this gal has some mental problems. But this guy, knowing now that that's not a good idea to get involved with girls like that, he did what he could to be with her and help her and all that. But once she got in that club, things changed. So they've been going to go over here, guys, to cover a lot of things. Number one, don't get involved with gals that got the mental problems, bipolar, that type of thing. You don't need that in your life. Two, and you're going to see this, don't get involved with gals that got destructive, toxic families. It's not your problem. They're going to impact her. And of course, your gal goes down the route of hanging out with a bunch of angry feminists and starts talking about all the injustices in the world and how all guys are the devil. You really need to run, as well as a lot of important lessons there. So we're going to definitely learn something in this guy's tale. It says, "Good day, SSM. There's no happy ending to the story, no exciting revenge or comebacks, or no exaggerated events, just a common, normal story, and sadly, this really happened." Well, bro, no matter what, guys are going to listen and watch this and learn something, and hopefully you do too, and we can help you out. I did, however, change some details. I wish it didn't happen to me, or any man for that matter, but my story is just one of many that remains unheard of, and this part of my life happened a few years ago. I'll try to drop some lessons I learned as the story goes on, and part of my English, as it's not my first language. Yeah, this dude's from another country. So here goes. Me and my ex were together for about 10 years. We had similar interests and many more, so from there we kicked it off. About her, she's a diagnosed bipolar. Uh-oh. Run for the hills. Unfortunately, this guy did not. She was someone who took her medication religiously because she acts out of character when she was not under it. And as a warning to you guys, when your partner tells you they have a mental condition, you stay away. A lot of these people do not heal and only get worse in time. See right here, if you take anything from this story, that's it. Girl's on medication, she's got mental issues, that type of thing. Even though it's not her fault, she's got mental problems and all that type of thing, it's not your job to be her hero, her knight in shining armor, and save her, because that's just going to bring a lot of problems in your life, even if she stays true to the medication. Because let some other sucker deal with her, because there's always going to be suckers. And sadly, in this story, this guy was a sucker until it was too late. I have no hate for them, but if you love yourself, please find yourself a normal one. Define normal, my friend. I cannot stress this enough. Do not be a savior for broken people, especially people with broken childhood. They will drag you down and leave you empty. Exactly. I, on the other hand, don't really get along with people. I'm very choosy. I'm quite the introvert and only have a small circle of friends, which I prefer. I don't really go out to parties, as crowds always make me uncomfortable, and then I have a tendency to speak my mind or be confrontational about things I find suspicious. A trait that doesn't really make me popular with a lot of people. I just call BS when I see it, and I do lose friends over it. You sound a lot like me. I'm introverted. I don't like big crowds. I'd rather have a small group of people I can talk to, have a good time with. I don't like parties, I speak my mind, and it ain't always popular. When I started this channel and I got out, I lost a lot of people who I thought were my friends. But every so often, every few years, guys, situations arise when you find out who's really on your side. It's okay, man. I get it. So on to the story. We got along pretty fine most of the time, our time together, with a chunk of it being spent fixing her problems with her relatives. Her fixing her problems with relatives, or you fixing her problems? And are you trying to say that aside from her own mental issues, bipolar, that she also has drama in her family? Another sign where a guy needs to run. You always pay attention to the girl's family. Who are, no exaggeration, malicious, deceiving thieves. We bonded through those experiences, and she moved a lot to just get away from them, while I supported her every step of the way, which makes this story more heartbreaking to me because of our downfall happened in such a short time. During our 4th year, we decided to live together, and during the 7th year of our relationship, we got engaged. So far, despite her family problems and her condition, we fared well. Felt like we could go against anything, and my family even liked her. Man, oh man. Bipolar, mental issues, effed up family with drama, and yet you still stayed with her. Clearly you meant well. We are not rich, but we didn't really have money problems. In fact, I learned that one of the things you avoid with your spouse is to argue about money. You can talk about it, but don't let it become a blame game. It goes nowhere and creates spite between the two of you. And let me tell you, women are big spiteful kids when it comes to arguments and won't even admit it. You're darn right about that. Yeah, well, here's the thing. You don't argue about money or argue and fight about anything. You talk like mature adults about various things. And when it comes to money, one of the biggest things that causes problems in relationships and breakups and divorces is money. And you gotta make sure you guys are pretty much aligned and understand various goals and stuff like that. If you are a guy that works hard and you want to build wealth, and every month you want to have extra money left over that you can invest in things that will grow in value in time, that's how you become wealthy. But meanwhile, she likes to spend every dollar that comes in, or actually go into the red every year, putting on the credit card bullshit she doesn't need. It ain't going to work out. So you need to make sure you see eye to eye, and her actions back up her words in there. Otherwise, you're not a good fit. Again, let that type be somebody else's problem. And that goes for women watching me. If you as a woman, if you're trying to build wealth and your guy pisses away money, it's the way he makes himself feel better, and you get rid of him too. All 4% of the women that watch this, I'm speaking to you. Anyhow, we both had jobs, office jobs to be specific. While she fully transitioned to work from home due to COVID, we decided to quit mine to pursue and sell on my family business. Back then, things seemed to go smoothly. Too smooth that I became lackadaisical, undisciplined, whiny, and whatever, becoming feminine. That makes you. Smack. Well, I don't want to hear that, dude. Whiny? Undisciplined? No, we can all have times that we have setbacks, guys, but a man being whiny says to me being emotional. And nothing can turn off a woman like that when a man that starts acting like a woman. Because they want to be the fucking man, not another whiny woman. Oh, and fatter too. And I regularly acted on my emotions. Smack. Can't let yourself go, guys. We can all put on some pounds during the holidays, the holiday week. We can all sometimes put on, it even happens to me sometimes. And then I can look at this fucking camera here and say, oh shit, I'm starting to see a little extra chin growing. Time to reduce eat a little bit better. It even happens to me, guys. But you got to get back from, but there's degrees of this shit. And emotional? No. So you can see problems already brewing that could lead to her, where this thing goes. I got distracted on things that shouldn't be, too much time on the phone, social media, games, everything that didn't matter improved my life as a whole, so did she. So she followed your direction. You started slacking, she started slacking. She had become closer with a set of friends who, for several reasons, I can't divulge too much. She hung out with them, and I let her because I saw she enjoyed being with them. To keep it simple, let's just call them a book club. A feminist book club, and that ain't a good club to be in. She's known them for several years, met with them while we were still early in our relationship, and there wasn't really anything negative that I could say back then. Well, you didn't see what was there. But I just now realized they became more active when feminism was rearing its ugly head here, and these were single women. Well, when feminism is rearing its ugly head, that's when guys' lives start becoming a living hell. Fast forward to our 8th year, we decided to have a baby before getting married due to various reasons. My son was born, so I felt that it was only apt for me to become a better man now that I'm a father. You're darn right. So stop being emotional. Stop being lackadaisical. Stop being all those things that you knew that you were doing that wasn't a good thing. Do it for your boy. But sadly, some of the damage has been done with your girl. And so I tried to step up. My son and partner, really, she's your fucking fiancée. Stop calling him partner. You don't need to be politically correct here. Was my everything. My son will always be. I worked harder at our family business, added some side jobs here and there too. And I won't deny that she helped a lot with the side money and thinking how to make more. She was the mastermind most of the times after all. Okay, sounds pretty good. Again, now you have a son, so you want to provide a good life for him, so you're finding ways to bring in more cash. Good for you. When my son turned 2 years old, intimacy became a problem. Uh-oh. She said she wasn't in the mood most of the time, and all the other excuses a woman gives just to avoid physical contact. Well, if a girl isn't getting it from you, she's getting it someplace else in some capacity, or she's losing attraction. Maybe it's possible she was losing attraction for you when you said you were acting, you put on weight, you said you were getting whiny, emotional, all that. That's going to do something. That's not good. But a man has needs. And if she's not fulfilling those needs, a man has the right to eventually look elsewhere after giving her clear-cut, understandable talk about things. At that point, I felt I had to be understanding, as she might have PPD. She has clinical depression after all, and it wasn't far off, and I didn't want to put pressure on her because of that. Well, there's a balance, my friend. You are being sympathetic, and she's got her issues, but the fact that you're with her in spite of those issues shows that you're quite sympathetic anyway. But remember, you got to take care of you. So I focused on my kid. He sort of became this tiny best friend that followed you everywhere you go. And this is a big thing for me because I really don't like people in general. I actually prefer my companions to be animals. I know this was different. It's supposed to be as he's my kid. As we spend so much time together that I can't imagine spending any day without him, he became my shadow. He's your boy, man. I don't get that because I'm not a parent, but a lot of guys do. And by the way, I get the whole preferring animals to people. Most certainly. I have people in my life that I'm close to, and they're great people, friends and family. But the other day, what's that line from Wall Street about that Gordon Gekko said about, well, I can't say the word here, but they love animals, they hate people. I'm sure some of you guys know that scene. He talked about, he was on the board at the Bronx Zoo. My not yet ex, though, she was meeting up with her friends regularly. Sometimes she'd bring her kid, and sometimes we'd be left at home. When she got home, we would discuss things about what that happened during the day, and even what they talked about, telling me how difficult it was just being a woman these days, which flew over my head back then. I would then listen to a lot of her rants and try to understand her. Here we go, her feminist book club, look what they're doing to her. But you guys will see eventually, there's more going on here with her. I noticed that she became easily irritated, combative too. Small things would bother her, and she'd make snide remarks. And that is when you nip it in the bud. That's when you be a fucking man. You said you're confrontational when necessary, and you say, that shit ain't gonna fly. I'm not one of these guys that's causing the problems in the world, so to speak, that this group says. And if you're suddenly being pissed off all the time and angry, this group isn't exactly doing any positive thing to your life, even though you may think that. Don't check them, guys. Because if you put up with bullshit, it's only going to get worse. Women don't respect weak guys. We tried to make it work, had several conversations about it because it was affecting our daily life. At this point, she was still meeting up with her book club, and I focused solely on my responsibilities at home, especially my kid. Her habits changed drastically. Her phone habits became worse. She was always on her phone when I saw her. I tried talking to her about it, and she reasoned that she was just a bit down and needed some time for herself, that this would pass. Weeks passed by, and I became nearly close to not functioning at home. Even our kid got ignored. Literally felt like she wasn't with us. And so every opportunity I got, brought the kid with me and spent time with him even during her work hours. So now she's not living up to her duties as a mother, and let's be honest, you're not married yet, thank God, but basically a wife, you know? Gee, where do you think that's coming from? Now, maybe she's been depressed, and depression will cause you to shut down, that I get. But it sounds like this book club of hers and the other harpies in there are impacting her. And it's also impacting your family life with your boy. Not cool. Over time, her opinions of men became harsher, and she kept saying how her female friends were victims of the so-called patriarchy era. I didn't put much thought into it back then because I was enjoying my time with my kid. You should have. It became my world, while I and my partner felt like we were drifting further and further apart. That she created a wall between us. Even intimacy didn't become much of an issue for me anymore. All because I was keeping myself busy with things I felt and knew mattered, especially my son. So even though she's being a giant pain in the ass about babbling about patriarchy, it sounds like she's not doing her share of things at home, and you're not getting any and all that, but you are doing your part, spending time and taking care of your boy. Good, but you're not taking care of you. And this is the point, man, that she has stopped being the person that you started being with. She's changing who she is and all that, and it's time to start looking elsewhere. You know, you can both co-parent the child. I mean, you got to be with her. Thank God you're not married. She also let herself go and got bigger. Didn't take baths regularly, and our home became messy. She's now not bathing. Let me guess. I don't need to take a bath every day for any man. And of course, letting herself go. Now, if you still at that point let yourself go, you said you got fatter, then if you're overweight and you don't take care of yourself, and you know what I mean, you can't expect your girl to look like some freaking Victoria's Secret model. Yeah, well, the thin Victoria's Secret models from back in and I don't mean the super skinny ones. You know my point. So if you're slacking, she's gonna slack. She's gonna follow that. But anyhow, not bathing every day. Ugh. Yeah, again, these wonderful friends at her feminist book club. And just to make it clear, I clean and move a lot around the house. I prefer handling things myself because we don't have a house helper. Having one doesn't excuse you from being lazy. And I want to prevent anything like that might harm my family. She, on the other hand, had gotten worse. Lays on the couch the whole day on her phone and just being quiet there. Never found out that she was cheating, doesn't matter anymore. But what really hurt me was seeing my son beg for her attention, like he was an afterthought. She would notice him for a moment and then get back to her phone. What is she doing on her phone? Who's she talking to on her phone? I'm picturing like Jabba the Hutt in Return of the Jedi, when he's on that throne just kind of like laying there with his fucking tail sticking out the side. That's what I'm picturing your girl here, just getting bigger and bigger. And Jabba the Hutt didn't take a bath very often. I mean, he probably had to have Boba Fett spraying with a hose on that throne of his or something, But anyhow, yeah, this is disgusting. And she's not being a good mom to your boy. Our fights got bigger too. Became physical and abusive. She never liked it when I turned my back at her during an argument, so sometimes she attacked me when I turned my back on her. That's unacceptable. That's it. It's over. Absolutely over. But the sad thing is he's thinking, well, she used to be different. And I don't want to hear her, boo-hoo because she's bipolar and all that. It's not your problem. At one point, it became so bad that our kid had to step in and he got hurt too. Again, unacceptable. It's time to get that kid out of there. Take him. Go. Go to family, something. You got family. Get a lawyer. Find out your options. Get custody of that kid. She's unstable. That moment became a wake-up call to me, and I'm ashamed that I ever let it happen. Well, we can't change the past, but you can learn from it. We tried to talk things through. Yeah, how'd that work? And everything went well for a few days, but she returned back to her bad habits. Of course she did. I didn't know what to do back then. I knew my son needed me, so we still spent a lot of time together. But with her, it was a losing battle. I became afraid because I was losing my partner, with whom I shared a lot of tough experiences with, and overcame them. Now it felt different. That's why you stayed with her through all this bullshit, because you're focusing on all the good times. That's what a lot of guys do. They could have 10 years, everything's great, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, things dramatically change, but then they don't focus what's going on in front of them. They're focusing on the past, and holding on to that. And when it gets violent, no, there's no going back from that. And you said your boy got involved. Poor little kid seeing this. That shit screws kids up. You owe it to him, to your boy, to get him the hell out of there. At least trying. On a Sunday, we went to the park with my kid, and as toddlers do, without any valid reason, he acted up. My ex got angry at him, shouted at him in public. I tried to settle them down, but it all backfired with her blaming me for not doing anything enough. Well, all little kids are going to act up, and parents got to handle them accordingly, and sometimes kids really act up, and they deserve being yelled at, or even a swat in the ass when they're getting too out of control. Some people totally disagree with me with that, but nothing gets a kid to get his act together knowing he's going to get a good swat in the ass. Worked for me. But your whole thing's a mess. So we got home, my kid was asleep, and it was a silent drive. She told me she can't keep it up anymore, and she felt trapped, unable to do anything for herself. I tried to reason with her that I was doing everything to help and that I've always been supportive of her, and she just brushed it off that I was making it all about myself. Bro, you can't reason with someone like this. You can't reason with an unreasonable person. She's a taker, okay? She's fucked up. And those harpies she's spending time with in her book club isn't helping very much either. Next few days, we spent living like roommates. Dude, you've been living like roommates for a while now. I still tended to my kid as best I could because he needed me. And finally, I just gave up. Told my parents I don't want to be in this relationship anymore and needed their advice. Hallelujah! They told me they understand, and I made them aware of what was happening and that things weren't getting any better. After consulting my parents, I told her I didn't want this anymore, and at that point, I was still afraid of losing everything we worked on, and I knew my kid wouldn't have a complete family. I cried to myself because it was a hard decision to make, but I needed to be done. I didn't want my kid being growing up seeing his mom disrespect me. You're darn right. Because if your boy sees that growing up, he's going to become that way. He's going to become the same way around women. Absolutely. And maybe men too. He could be a kid that's bullied. So many men today let this happen and they lose themselves. I figured I can't let it happen to me or else I would lose more. Bro, you made a lot of mistakes in this story. But you know what? At least you got to the point that said enough's enough. And if it took not wanting your boy to be in this environment, so be it. Next few days, she became a sweet, mindful, less on the phone and more with our kid type. I didn't budge because I knew it was an act. So many women can naturally put on the show, and that is scary. You're darn right about that. She realized it wasn't working. She tried guilt-tripping me, posting on social media how willing I was to throw it all away without a single thought. Of course, onto social media. People gave her their sympathies while hating on me. The screwed up part is they only knew her side of the story, her truth and version. And that, again, gentlemen, as I've said 16,000 times, is why you have to control the narrative. If you don't, the person that is causing turmoil in your life will. It's a woman's advantage. People will think she's a victim simply because she's female. I still didn't budge. Didn't matter to me how many people were saying that I was an awful person, a bad father and partner. They just need to know her side. They didn't care about her side. That's just, you're right, that's the narrative that goes around. It's bullshit. And who do you think they were fully supporting? And who do you think were fully supporting her in her post? Yep, it's her book club. That horrible time was when feminism was surging around the world, and it got here too. I'd really like to know where the hell you're from, dude. A lot of my acquaintances went to her side, even some of my friends too. Well, then they're no longer your friends, man. Again, every few years, guys, in our lives, usually something will happen that will really show us who our friends are. I tried to talk to my own circle, and they all pointed it down to me not being a religious person. I told them I didn't need them judging me, that I need them to listen. Told them to go screw themselves. Well, good for you. And again, guys, you can see why this guy prefers animals to people, as do I. And I'm telling you right now, it's not your enemies that will bring you down, it's the lack of friends. 3 people, however, were there for me. 2 of them were longtime friends, and 1 is a childhood friend. Asked me how I was doing, checked up on me regularly. Well, there you go. Those 3 people you can count on. I'm glad you had them. Communicated properly, heard both sides, and trusted I wasn't the bad guy in the situation. All while other people were attacking me, my name was dragged down, some friends stopped talking to me, and it didn't matter how I explained myself, I was simply the guy who oppressed my ex. What a steaming pile of crap. Well, you know what? Again, now you don't have to have those people in your life. Now you don't have to have people in your life that pretend to be your friends but really aren't. Knowing nothing will go her way, my ex moved out and took our kid. This broke me further, and I wasn't actually getting the emotional support from my family. They're not evil, we just aren't used to being emotionally open to one another. What's this business that she moved out and took your kid? Where's the lawyer? Where's setting up who gets custody of him? And who the kid stays with, and determining how often each parent sees him. I'm not hearing anything about that. Where's that part of the story? I hope that's coming up. So even if my 3 friends supported me, I just didn't feel enough. I started to distance myself away from people, spent a lot of time on my phone. In other words, you were depressed and felt like it was hopeless. Reading screenshots sent to me by other people about how terrible I was. It nearly drove me off myself. Chemicals are part of my work and are easily accessible. I chickened out and I just couldn't do it. No, ending yourself is not the answer, my friend. You can't give up for this, because this harpy and all these people. I know it wasn't just her, it was all the people that you thought were your friends. That could bring anybody down. But you have your life to live. You have your boy who needs his father, but his father who is the type of man that I know you are deep down. Next morning, my father saw me still brooding and asked when I will act like this. I didn't answer, but it did make me think. My mother, on the other hand, told me to act like a man, and so I started. Whew, you were getting some tough love from family. I didn't read any books about self-improvement. I just developed habits. My father kept calling me fat, so I worked on that too. Okay, there's tough love and there's being a fucking mean asshole. I mean, Jesus Christ. But if that's what got you to take action, I went from 91 kilos, I slimmed down to 73 in just a few months. I focused on our family business, and me and my ex settled for me to be able to see my kid 3 times a week. Okay, so when you settled, I mean, Was that just an agreement with you two, or was there a lawyer involved and a court involved? I'm not hearing that. They moved not far from here, so it was accessible to say the least. I also noticed a lot of things at the family business, how my parents struggled and felt helpless at times because I got so tangled up in my personal issues. I started to notice a lot of issues that need to be fixed, and I initiated a lot of things that need to be done. Okay, good. You're taking action. I kept myself busy, managed to learn to control my emotions, and I felt like I was a different person overall. Good. So because of this whole thing, you lost a bunch of weight? Good. You said you went from being emotional and whiny to changing that? Good. You're becoming the man that I know you can be and that your boy needs. A role model. Because these days, so many young guys out there do not have good role models. Some months passed by and my ex found a new partner. There's a surprise. Something tells me this partner wasn't new. This partner was probably there all along. I'm not so overly concerned because the said partner is a she. A Butch to be specific. Also, I failed to mention that before breaking up my ex, suddenly she decided that she was bisexual. Yikes. This feminist book club you called, I think there were more things going on there. You know, a lot of these gals have become these raging feminists. You know, I think they, one way or another, where they realize they're not the time bat for the other team, and there's nothing against the other team. Live and let live as best as possible, but still. And that team sometimes doesn't like the guys too much, and that ain't right. But something tells me that, again, because you weren't getting any, she was being fulfilled in some capacity, you know, elsewhere. But now your son is with her, and probably she's going to have those types of people over at the house, and your son's going to be exposed to this. You need to be doing everything you can to get custody of your boy. I was still consistent in visiting my kid, but there were times where my ex would try to find something to argue about. Shocker, picking fights, huh? I didn't want to engage her, so I kept quiet and thought only about my son. At that point, I wasn't really feeling any anger or resentment over her. I accepted our situation and felt that I'd do my best for my kid. In other words, you were being the mature adult, but she was trying to stir up drama. Probably to that way she can say you yelled at her or did this, and this, and probably would make it that you couldn't see your kid. Her ultimate revenge. That's probably what she was doing. But on one of my visits, she initiated a fight, which turned into something ugly because I wasn't engaging her. She began to shout, cussing me and saying I won't see my son anymore. I still didn't engage and just walked away. Lawyer. Believe me, I didn't want to leave my son like that, but I had to cool things off. Months passed by, and she wasn't giving me any updates about my son. No news, no anything. When you say she wasn't giving you updates, does that mean you went months without seeing your boy? No, my friend. I did, however, see my kid by accident at a local mall. My ex wasn't in it with him, but the Butch was. She was in the ladies' room at the moment. My kid was wearing a mask and a cap back then, but for some reason I felt it was him. I approached him and he stepped back away, not recognizing me because I lost a lot of weight and looked a lot different. I removed my mask and he ran over to me. Oh, he removed it. He removed. Okay. After a few moments, I saw his mom, my ex, walking to remove him from me. But before that happened, I hugged him tightly and told him words that will become what I live by and continue to live by. I love you, son. Don't forget me. And no matter what happens to us, I will always become a better person. Bro, that's a very tender moment, but what the fuck? It sounds like you're giving out. Unless there was a court ruling saying you couldn't see him, what the fuck is going on here? That's what confuses me. Last I heard, they moved to a place hours away from here. Those were my final words to him. I realized how much I needed him. I don't break down anymore. For some reason, I just stop before it happens. Maybe it's because I know some people, especially my parents, need me, and I have to be strong for them. At the end, I didn't get to hate or resent anyone. I just simply let go and moved on with my life. I'm not R-pilled. I feel the R-pill movement has lost its meaning and has become what it hates. To me, men and women still need to work together and have less walls between them. Well, I agree with that. I do agree with that, but when you have so many that are so unreasonable, and not to mention how the family courts towards guys, you can't blame guys for being on the side they are right now. I also came to realize that even if she didn't have any feminist friends, we would have been doomed either way due to her medical condition. Yes, she would have been doomed, and also the fact that she's into women. The relationship would have just dragged longer, and my kid would have to deal with more trauma. Thank you for listening. I hope you guys learned something. Well, we learned a lot of things, but I'm still sorely disappointed in you that, so what, she just takes the kid, that's that? You're giving up? Where the fuck is the lawyer? Where the fuck is the court? I mean, yes, we know the courts are sadly screw guys over, but you didn't say anything about that. So unless there was a ruling by a judge saying she gets the kid. Tough shit, she gets to dictate when you see him. Then why the hell aren't you fighting for your son? Because it doesn't sound like you are. And if you haven't done that yet, get a fucking lawyer tomorrow after you watch this video and find out all your options so you can have your boy in your life. She can't just take him away from you unless a judge says she could, and get that kid back. She's unstable, she's got issues, and try to have full custody of him, whatever you got to do, or at the very least, parental rights. Now, I didn't hear anything about you paying child support or anything like that, and but still. So that's a missing element here. But so I'm glad you ended it with her. I'm glad you've improved yourself. That's great, bro. But now you got to take care of your boy. You cannot let your boy be raised by a nut job like that, particularly one that has hating on guys and hangs out with a bunch of people that hate on guys. That's going to mess him up. You owe it to him, man. So you fixed yourself. Now fix the situation with him soon, before it's too late. That's all I can say about that. And I think all you guys will agree with me here. I mean, for goodness sake, man. So yeah, lots of things to learn in this story here. And not to, obviously, don't get involved with gals with the mental issues because it's going to drag you down. Don't get involved with gals that got messed up families, Unless a gal is willing to walk away from her wacko family completely and be with you, then no freaking way. Because it's going to impact you and your life. And obviously, about checking girls and there's bullshit going on. You can't, look at all the crap that was going on. But so I'm glad you ended it with her and you're doing what you could for your boy. But now you got to do the ultimate thing for your boy. Get him back. You need to save him. Every moment, every day that passes that kid's with her and doesn't have you around, the damage that's going to be done on him, come on, man. So I want you to do that immediately. And whatever it costs, make it fucking happen. Save that boy. There you go. All right, guys, that's it for today. I know this is, like you said, a story that didn't end on a high note, but we got to help this guy out. So please, comment down below and say what you got to say. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.